Hello. I never know exactly when this thing starts on this YouTube, so I'm kind of learning how these YouTubes work right now. This video is on meditation. Meditation is a very powerful thing to do, and we should do it a few times a day. Let me first say that meditation simply means to be in the moment. Because if I said premeditation, you know that means to think something out, like premeditation murder. They've thought it out very carefully. So what we don't want to do is sit down and think something out. No. We want to sit down and we want to be in the very present moment, and we want to quiet our mind and thoughts down. And the quieter you can get your thoughts, the more intuitive you will eventually become. It's kind of the way that God or angels speak to us. They do not speak in words, and loud words especially. They speak more in whispers or intuitiveness, in a knowing. You just know it. They also speak to you in pictures. You've heard the saying, a picture tells 1,000 words. And you know there was a famous man a couple hundred years ago, Emanuel Swedenborg, and he was a scholar. He wrote 35 volumes of books. Well, he speaks a lot on the angels. He actually has seen the angels, and they talked with him and showed him many, many things. And this is where I get some of my understanding, is some of it from his books. Brilliant man. But the subject is meditation, and there's a word called transcendental meditation. It's a big word, and I used to not know what that word meant. But it simply means to transcendental something means to take it to its highest meaning. So it's a pretty good word, transcendental meditation, just to sit quietly and get connected to the highest source. If we was to take the word love, and do you think this would be transcendentalizing it if we said lust for the word love? Well, it isn't. That would be taking it to a lower meaning. And we don't want to take words to lower meanings. We want the highest meaning, the spiritual meaning. So, in meditation, it's a simple technique, and we'll do a little bit of it right now. Basically, you could sit any way you want to. You could probably lay down if you want to too. But the idea is not to get lazy and not to fall asleep. Because the idea is to become more aware and more awake. And if you were going to watch your thoughts, you can't do that while you're sleeping. So, some say you got to cross your legs and you got to sit like this. But I feel that as long as you make the technique most important, and that is to be aware, then get comfortable as you can get. Okay, so sit down, find a chair, or whatever. I'm going to sit on a chair. I'm going to close my eyes, and I'm going to bring my attention to my hands. You can open your hands and your palms, or you can touch your fingers together like this. And at the same time, you want to bring your attention to the middle of your forehead. Now, the reason your hands are touching, fingers are touching, is this is going to be an anchor. The most important part is to stay up in your forehead, right between your eyes. And you're going to want to look at any thoughts that might be coming. And there's all kinds of them. There's worries, there's fears, there's anxieties, there's wishes and wants. You've got to wash the dishes, you forgot to wash the car, you've got to take out the trash. All these things don't worry about. Just look at those thoughts. And as soon as one comes, another one will come. As soon as that one leaves, another one will come. If you can sit quiet long enough, and just sit there, But now, every time you can remember, bring your attention back to your hands and ever so slightly feel your fingers touching each other. And you can move your attention from one finger to another. You can bring your attention all the way down to your toes. You can bring your attention to your breathing. Get in tune with your breathing. Watch your stomach rise. Watch the air come up from your stomach, up through your esophagus, and out your nose or your mouth. Do it slowly. Quiet your mind down. Take a few deep breaths if you want to. Just get to know that your mind has so many thoughts. And just watch them. Don't do anything, don't agree with them, don't disagree with them. The idea here is to show you that you actually can just watch them without getting involved in them. And eventually you'll be set free from them. Whether they speak good things or bad things, you won't be affected by them. And deep down inside you want to be affected by a good cause. I'll speak more of this later, what the good cause is. The good father, not the bad father. But for right now, I've got to help you separate your thoughts and your thinking so that you can see, you'll get a picture, you'll know for sure there are good thoughts and there are bad thoughts. And the idea is to just watch both of them for a while. Okay, that's the basic idea. And one day I'll give you a bunch more minutes of it. But for right now, I just want to give you a little background of what meditation is, and then let me talk a few minutes about what it can really do for you. Meditation will eventually show you what's hidden. If you have a problem, try not to just cover it all up with alcohol or with drugs or with anger or with sex or with food. Try to just suffer for a while, wanting to know the real reason behind the problem. And if you could look at something long enough, what is hidden will eventually become shown to you. But you gotta be willing to want to see it. And that takes patience. Be patient and let God know that you really want to know. By you really wanting to know, God will show you what's behind door number 3, or door number 2, or door number 1. I have been shown many things. I was taken to a scene of a crime once. Let me give you an example. A psychiatrist told me that I needed to take 3 drugs 3 times a day when I was 15 years old. And I told him no, I will not do it. He told me he would tell my probation officer if I didn't. And I said, well, go ahead, because I'm not going to take those drugs. And 4 or 5 years later, I started meditating. And somewhere, someday, not during the meditation, but a few days later, I was taken right to the scene of the crime where the particular problem I had in my mind started. It showed me. I was in the back of a station wagon with my mother and my father, and I saw so clearly what happened as my mother was yelling at me, and all I wanted was some attention, but they didn't give it to me. And instead they yelled at me, and it did something to my little mind, my little innocent mind. And anyway, I was shown exactly how it happened, and I was shown the scene of the crime. And once you know truth, that's the beginning to help yourself throughout all your problems. And meditation is like this. It takes time, it takes patience, it takes a yearning, but God is very faithful, and just learn to do it. You will have some good benefits and fringe benefits. It takes time, but be patient. Calm that mind down. We'll talk later.